Today we're going to be talking about Jeffrey Epstein and Alexander Acosta, and then we're also going to touch on that fun viral FaceApp that makes you look like your grandma and what some potential repercussions could be of using that. So, Ali, do you want to kind of walk us through the summary of this Jeffrey Epstein stuff?
Sure. So, Jeffrey Epstein is an accused sex trafficker. In 2005, he was arrested and charged and ended up getting a plea deal. And funnily enough, the lawyer or the judge on the case was Alexander Acosta, which is Trump's labor secretary right now. Well, he actually just resigned, but was Trump's labor secretary. So Jeffrey Epstein got off on probation and community service, I believe, and then just recently he's been reaccused by several more females, and he is being held in the Metropolitan Correction Center in Manhattan, yeah. And so it's just, one, it was very scrutinized by the Me Too movement once that started coming out, because he was a rich white man who got off on abusing underage girls who were as young as 14 and taking them to his private island and taking them to Florida and just kind of abusing them.
Yeah, taking advantage of his resources.
Yeah, exactly. And so now he is trying to claim that he doesn't deserve to be in jail. He really wants to just be out. He wants to be on house arrest.
I'm sure he does.
I know.
His mansion.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever, apartment.
So there's this Yugoslavian woman who was with him during a lot of the victims prior to 2005 and a little bit after. And it's now coming out that he bought her from her family. And she was 15.
Oh,
and
so it appeared they were dating, but actually he
owned
her?
Yeah, and he would brag about her to the younger girls and say that she was his sex slave. And so now prosecutors are talking about how she isn't necessarily his accomplice, but more of his victim, because he bought her.
Right. She was subjected to it first.
Yeah.
What is that called when victims fall for their captors? Some sort of syndrome. Not syndrome.
Oh, I'm not sure. She did get out of it, though.
Stockholm syndrome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so the judge who let him out, Alexander Acosta, didn't make him get on the sex offenders list, didn't do any
in 2005.
In 2005. Didn't do any of the things that could have avoided future issues like this.
Right.
And after it came out that this plea deal happened and that Acosta was being the labor secretary for Trump, a bunch of Democrats decided that it was time to call him out and ask him to step down and resign from his position.
All of this,
yeah, because it's just going to get worse before it gets better. And
yeah,
you can't do that.
Yeah, I think from a PR standpoint too, he definitely made the right decision. I mean, obviously, if he was so willing to comply, he knew that he made a mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's probably best to just remove yourself from that situation. I don't know what to tell Jeffrey Epstein's PR person. Good luck. But it seems like I'm reading here, so he hung out with Donald Trump and Bill Clinton back in the day, and he had a lot of other very high profile friends. So I feel like that's definitely not good for those friends either, to be associated with him.
Oh, for sure. And I think one of the huge things that is going to come out of this PR wise is the fact that Alexander Acosta stepped down, and the fact that Donald Trump was such good friends with him.
Yeah. What is it? There's a quote everybody keeps talking about from Trump where this quote was in 2002 in an interview with New York Magazine, but he said, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy." So that was just 3 years before his original case that didn't turn into anything. But now, since he's been asked, well, I guess I should finish the quote. He continued to say, "He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life." Interesting take on things.
Yeah, a little skeezy.
Yeah. The social life.
Younger girls.
Sex trafficking life. But now, since then, Trump has again been asked about this, especially now that these things are all coming up again. And Trump is very high profile, being the president of the United States. And now he has said that he knew Epstein like everybody in Palm Beach knew him. He said, "I had a falling out with him. I haven't spoke to him in 15 years. I was not a fan of his, that I can tell you." So, you know, of course, people's opinions on other people can change. Maybe his the allegations made against him in 2005 affected how Trump views him.
Hopefully, however, I think that could be very debated.
Oh, definitely. I think there could be a big debate on why people think that Trump would want to remove himself from that situation. Mm-hmm. But I definitely think whoever was advising Trump present day made a good decision. He, you know, if he was saying things like, "Oh, he was a great guy" today, he would get so much backlash. But then again, does Trump really care about getting backlash?
Well, also, I think that he expressed a lot of sadness about Acosta resigning, and Acosta gave 2 weeks and everything and made an announcement. And I think that Trump handled that situation actually pretty well and didn't call out his opponents for asking him to resign, because I think he does understand the magnitude of what that could actually bring to the White House.
Oh, definitely. And especially stuff like this, you know, regardless of your political affiliations or political beliefs, nobody's gonna be on board with these types of allegations. It's inhumane.
Oh yeah.
It's wrong. It's taking advantage of children. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a gross Sorry guys, we brought a negative topic to the podcast today.
And Epstein is on suicide watch now because he was found unconscious in his cell. And so I'm curious if like his PR person thought that would be
a good PR stunt.
A good PR stunt to get him sympathy into house arrest or house arrest. Yes, sympathy as well. But also like in jails, the people who are attacked first are like those who prey on young children.
Yeah, that's a known thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm curious if it was just like a little PR stunt that they put together to get him into safety.
And it sucks because, you know, in general, if somebody were to make an attempt like that, you would want, you know, you should never try to downplay it. But something like this, it definitely raises the question, like, is this a legitimate thing that he's trying to escape this situation? Like you said, is it a strategical move to better his own environment while also trying to gain sympathy? Like, what is it really? And I think in these like types of high profile cases, I don't think the truth to that will really ever trickle down unless somebody really close to the situation tells it. Yep.
I would love to get a memoir by his PR person.
Oh, definitely.
After this all happens.
I guess I was always under the impression that when really wealthy people go to jail for things, it's like a very nice place and it's not actually like jail. But I was reading an article from the Wall Street Journal that said the Metropolitan Correction Center is actually disgusting, and he is in a specific wing of the jail, which is in downtown Manhattan, that is known as the Box, and it has been the subject of inmate complaints about mice and insect infestations, as well as standing water on the floor. So that's disgusting, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of surprised me, I guess, to hear that, because somebody who is willing to post $100 million bail is like living in those like that environment. Really.
Well, I think that a lot of times after they actually get charged is when they get moved to like better facilities.
So right now he's just in holding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not where he'll stay.
Yeah.
When he gets charged.
So until he attempted suicide, which do you know how he did it or anything? Because I was under the impression they're not allowed to have anything in there.
They aren't. What I read was he was like curled in a ball on his floor and he had like marks on his arms.
So that is crazy. It's crazy to me that this is going on in people's lives.
I know. I'm excited to hear more about what happens.
Yeah.
We'll have to give updates.
Yeah, we will. I'm wondering, too, if there will be more high-profile, like, friends or acquaintances of his that will come out and say, hey, like, this is true. I saw it firsthand or something. Well, my guess is a lot of people are scared because then they can go down as well.
Exactly. Guilty by association.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
I would not recommend doing that if I were someone's PR person.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, that is sadly the world that we live in.
I know.
Where, you would have to advise that to your client just because of that legality.
Right.
But
unless they went to the victims and were like, if you took this, I would back you.
Yeah.
Like, taking it to them and having them come forward and be like.
Yeah. And I'm not a multi-million-dollar business person by any means, billions of dollars, whatever. It's who's to say what I would do in a situation where
you could lose everything.
Maybe it were a situation where people didn't see it firsthand but had their suspicions. They just opted not to investigate further.
Right. Well, his private island, they're now investigating because a bunch of the employees had always thought that there were hidden chambers in one of his buildings.
Wow.
And now the gold dome is missing. And this was after the hurricane and everything, but they're like investigating it, and it's because the workers of the island took it to the police.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah.
I think, if there is anybody that was associated with him that maybe, there's always those situations where you don't think of something in the moment, like it doesn't occur to you, or it's like, oh, that's kind of weird, but you brush it off. That later it makes a lot more sense because of something like this surfacing. I would hope that at least those people would come forward with, hey, this happened and I thought it was weird, but I didn't think about it.
Well, also,
type of thing.
He was such a rich man that if I was working for him and thought this or like saw this, I don't think that I would be able to come forward because like he's paying the bills.
Oh yeah.
He can take me down if the government doesn't do anything about it
to society. Like
exactly
nothing.
Exactly.
Which is sad.
And which is what happened in 2005. So there was already like an example of him getting away with it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it is such like a culture, like even with the Me Too movement, everybody's scared to say anything because they've seen it happen to other people. It's gone very badly. And, honestly, I would take something like that, like a suicide attempt by somebody who tried to come forward and was like just ridiculed. I'll take that much more seriously than I'll take Jeffrey Epstein,
a manipulator,
trying to commit suicide in prison. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just like another trick in the playbook, it seems like.
Exactly.
But with that being said, let's take it to a less scary situation.
Heavy.
Yes.
I mean, still pretty scary.
Rape kids, guys. It's not okay. So I'm sure many of you have heard of this kind of like viral FaceApp going around where it makes you look old. So have you done it, Ali?
Yes.
A lot of people are doing it to celebrities, themselves, like maybe their significant other, to see what they look like when they grow old together.
You.
I did that, yes. But there was an article released by the New York Post that kind of made me skeptical. So it talks about how this photo filter uses AI to digitally age your face, and it's actually a Russian app that was created by Wireless Lab in St. Petersburg, Russia, in 2017, actually. So that's weird. It took a couple years to get big.
I think the apps kind of usually do.
Yeah.
Just because they have...
probably a lot of kinks to work out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now, 2 years later, it's pretty big right now amongst millennials and whatnot.
It shot to number one spots, I believe, on both Google and Android. Wow. Yeah.
Wow. Yes, I unfortunately was one of the people who succumbed to the temptation and downloaded the app. So yeah, it says it's one of the most downloaded across the globe, so you're right about that. People are posting them all over social media platforms, showing everybody, and of course that piques more interest and creates more downloads.
Well, and the celebrities really helped, I think.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even whether the celebrities did it themselves or people just did it, I think it piqued a lot of interest.
For sure.
And honestly, it's like pretty accurate. You know, you get some of those apps that are like, that looks like trash, or like you can see where it
did it,
modified the photo, but these look legit. And, like, I need to start doing my night cream routine better because that scared me.
I know, mine gave me wrinkles on my arms. And I was like, cool.
They did not miss any detail, did they? But this is warning people not to download the app and grant permission. I guess when you download it, you're giving permission to access your photo gallery, and included in their terms and conditions, they have the right to modify, reproduce, and publish any of the images you process through its AI software. So this means that your face could end up being commercialized or worse. One strategist pointed out that by granting the FaceApp a perpetual, irrevocable, royalty-free license to use, adapt, publish, distribute, etc., your user content in all media formats, when you post or otherwise share, that means they can also use your real name, your username, or any likeness provided in any format without notifying, much less paying you. But aside from that, the real fear is with the future moving forward with technology. Some of us unlock our phones using our face. Mm-hmm. You know, I can access all my banking information using my thumbprint. So I think the main thing that this article is going into is just, you know, someday your face might be your password for everything, and you're kind of giving that over to this company in Russia.
Right.
So it points out that by giving them access to our phone's camera, they could secretly record someone. This could be a targeted or prosecuted member of society. So we can touch more on that later.
I think that it also is an issue because it can take any photo from your
camera
roll.
Yeah.
And one of the things that it says is, like, that's being said about it, is that the servers delete most photos after 48 hours.
Yep.
But, like, what does most mean, you know?
Right. Most might be most, but that doesn't mean that the part that's left over is little.
Right.
So I think that's something to think of. And then he also points out that they can cross-reference your face and phone information with the websites you're using. So they can know who the image is and then collect a huge database of other information from, like, Facebook accounts, faces, etc. Which, if you think about it, it's pretty similar to how, like, digital marketing works and, like, social media advertising.
Well, that is also getting scrutinized right now.
Yeah, that's just privacy issues in general.
Yeah, Facebook is doing it where you have to now opt in to allow that to happen rather than opt out. So
yeah. It kind of finishes up the article by saying that your face is now a form of copyright where you need to be really careful who you give permission to, you know, your biometric data, essentially. And who said that? So Steve Sammartino said that to a journalist. And he said if you start using that willy-nilly in the future when we're using our face to access things like our money and credit cards, then we've basically just handed the passwords and the keys to everybody else. So something to keep in mind when you're out there downloading all these apps. And who's to say from, like, a PR standpoint, who knows what else your face will allow you to access. Kind of goes into, like, personal branding like we talked about in previous podcast episodes. Just kind of being careful. I feel like it's like when we were younger and our parents would always say, be careful what you put on social media and stuff. It's like,
be careful which social medias you use now.
That, and be careful on a more technologically advanced platform who you're giving information to.
Right.
But yeah.
Same could be said for DNA now too.
Yep. Wow. A lot of crazy stuff going on out there.
Yeah. So I guess the main takeaways.
Yeah. Maybe don't be a sex trafficker.
Maybe don't help a sex trafficker get off.
That's really poorly worded.
Yeah, that is.
You guys know. Maybe don't compromise your
morals,
duty, and morals. Yeah,
to free a sex trafficker.
The damage is already done. And then, you know, don't just be sending your facial information anywhere, and other information probably.
Just watch about things that are, like, special to you, like, unique to you. Your face, your DNA.
Anyways, jokes aside, be a decent person. Of course, if you have any marketing or PR related questions, feel free to shoot us an email, Kassie, Kassie, @plaidswan.com. If you have any topics you want us to discuss or any issues, send those our way as well. And whatever platform you're listening on, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe if you like it. Have a good day. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye-bye.